Hey, thanks for jumping in today. This is a really fun format, and it wasn't my idea to do this. It was the international man of questions, Michael Bungay Stanier, who suggested this, and he thought he'd throw me his first contribution. So if you have a question you'd like me to riff on the show, you're welcome to send me a voice note, just as like Michael has done here. Now, Michael was very generous. He provided 2 questions, and he also gave me an opt-out, so I could basically pick which one I wanted to answer. But I thought, let's answer both on this podcast. And so the first question, let's take it away, Michael.
I'm Michael Bungay Stanier, author of The Coaching Habit and How to Begin and How to Work with Almost Anyone and a bunch of other books. Also, most importantly, a friend of Leanne. I've had the pleasure of not only knowing Leanne, but actually working together. We did this great event back in 2024 together up on a rooftop in Brisbane. Anyway, Leanne, I've got a question for you. What have you had to unlearn from 2024 to become the person you want to be in 2025?
Okay, thank you. I was joking to my friend Sarah Stoddart. Shout out to Sarah from Vitality Law Australia. In one of our kind of catch-ups, I was saying, like, my ultimate business model is just getting paid to use my mouth and my brain, to getting paid to think, getting paid to speak and advise. If you're looking at like the hierarchy of business models, that's pretty high up there in terms of an aspiration, like not having to actually do anything with my hands in terms of write report, build things and stuff like that. So I'm getting pretty close to that business model in terms of getting paid to do that. A majority of my income is on like thinking and speaking. I do think there's one rung up higher above it, and that is like just getting paid to be yourself. And I haven't really figured out what that looks like, but I know if I'm looking at 2024 and even leaning into this year, there's some stuff that I do that is like not aligned. But I do it because I run a business and I want to be profitable. Plus, you never know, this probably links back into my episode about being off brand. You kind of don't know what you don't know. If you jump into things that you're like, I'm not too sure if I can do this, if it's right, but you give it a go, you're like, oh, that was actually fulfilling. Or yeah, I did it and it reminded me why I don't want to do this anymore. So sometimes I'll take that. Sometimes it's also about just confidence and keeping momentum. I'll do some work because it might stretch me, it might be different. The other thing that I'm doing differently this year is I'm expanding where I get my thought leadership from and actually going the different way rather than looking to wise people that have done what I've done. I'm actually going to Gen Z and probably even younger, 20-year-old YouTubers, bloggers, online hustlers, just to get inspiration from their business models and how they're doing things. I signed up to a community with Tim Denning. He is quite prolific on X and LinkedIn. He's got like 520,000 followers on LinkedIn. And so part of his community, I've given myself, say, up to 12 weeks to really be a sponge, absorb all I can, and maybe create something as a result. They're very good at marketing and copywriting, and that's why I'm there to follow them. Like, how do they do this? How do they build an audience? How do they write their posts that create such huge audience growth? So yeah, that's probably the big change for this year as well, is getting my thought leadership from other places and just expanding ideas on what's possible. Okay, let's go to question number 2. Thanks, Michael.
So Leanne, I've got a question for you. What's the burden it's finally time to put down? It's provocative, I know. It's a deep one if you want to go there. But what's the burden it's finally time to put down?
Oh, this is a juicy one. And I was listening to Tim Denning, and he was just saying how writer's block was a joke, like it doesn't exist. And he's like, well, you don't have speaker's block. Like when you sit across from someone in a cafe, it's not like they ask you a question, you just don't have anything. But I almost feel speaker's block. When I heard it for the first time, I was like, oh, far out. What would I actually say? What would I say to Michael if he asked me that over a coffee? What would the burden be that I have to put down? Right top of mind, right now, I have this huge burden that my next book is like, I feel like my whole career, and this is, as I talk it through, it's irrational, but I wanted to share openly. I feel like my whole career is hanging on the next book that I bring out. And that's why I'm on the hesitation station. Really, when I think about it, so I'm putting so much pressure on this one asset, which in the scheme of everything in my business, it's not 100% of my business. I would say, if I think through it logically, probably even 10%. of the business, because I've got all this other stuff going on. Really wonderful clients, done brilliant work with some great people in the past. I've got the facilitation stuff, I've got my other book. There's so much I do. And so as I talk through the answer to this, I'm kind of reducing the pressure. What's been so interesting about the book in particular is with everything else in my life and career, I don't really put a burden on it. I'm like, let's just give it a go. Let's have fun. Let's relax, take it easy. But for this book, I'm taking it capital S seriously, as if this is the pinnacle moment. This is the watershed moment. And as a result, I think that anything that I will produce will let me down because of the expectations I'm putting on it. So maybe if I was advising myself, I'd be like, yeah, just relax. Like, pick a topic that you're excited about that will benefit someone that you validated. And so all I really need to do is go through my sent items or just figure out what I've been working with clients on, pick something fun and just write the book on it. It's not too difficult, but I'm really, really overhyping it. And it's completely unnecessary because it's not like even with my book, The 2-Hour Workshop Blueprint, that book I feel has served its purpose. It's got enough word of mouth. It continues to sell well on Amazon, and every week I get comments on LinkedIn and new connections of people who are reading the book, who are using it for their workshop. So it's served its purpose in that state. And I guess my hope with my second book is to get it to that same place, but I don't know if I can. And so it's almost like this fear of failure, fear of it not working. And that's why I haven't decided on anything. And every time I do feel like I've locked an idea down or a topic or a concept, the more I dig into it, it's like I figure out, this is boring. What I'm also thinking about, and the burden I want to let go is, but I do, maybe this is important, maybe I shouldn't let it go. When I share a title with someone, I want to see them lean in and be like, oh, that's so cool. And the working titles that I've shared some working titles with just random people, and none of them have provoked an emotional response. And so, the burden ideally would be to start writing a book without having a title. But as much as I wish I wasn't that way, I just can't seem to hack that. I need the title first because the title has its own momentum and energy, and I can write the book to that title. I just can't do it the other way around. And so that's the burden maybe I'll have to get rid of. I just don't think I can. It's almost like people who say, one of my early rules in the 12 rules for facilitation was set yourself a fake deadline and convince yourself it's real. And it's kind of similar with this. Do I need to convince myself that the book will occur and I can pretend to write? I just can't convince myself that that's the way to do it. So I have quite a few different ideas, really great concepts, really robust, really helpful, really valuable. So I'm solid in that. It's just in what direction do I focus them to? What is the overall positioning, direction? I don't want to write a book that's just lame and vanilla, to be honest. That is my biggest fear. And that is a burden I'm not willing to put away. Thank you, Michael. You're a total star. And Michael also has a new podcast out. It's called Change Signal. So if you are in the business of organizational change or change in general, I think the episode's been really helpful, even from an individual change perspective. Leading it, influencing it, you're going to love his new show. So check it out. What is something that you need to put away from 2024 to be the person you want to be this year? And what is a burden that you need to let go of? I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'll speak to you tomorrow.